Oh, that one there. See how that one's popping open like I talked about earlier? It's gonna be a good one right here, y'all. What's up, Lazy Dog fam? Hope all y'all are having an awesome day. It is Thursday, July 4th here in South Georgia, America. And that means it's watermelon time. So on today's video, we're going to check on our watermelon plants here behind me. I'm going to tell you how we know when a watermelon is ready to pick. Then we're going to cut some open and see how they taste. So I've got about 7 pounds of chicken wings that I'm going to throw on the Weber here in a little while. And nothing could go better with grilled chicken wings than a fresh picked watermelon from the backyard grocery store. And I couldn't be happier with how our watermelon plot is looking right now. We do have a few weeds out there, but we were able to keep them under control early before the vines took over this plot here. So not a whole lot of contributions to our weed seed bank going on out there. The plants look nice and green and healthy. We fed these with that mixture of AgriThrive fruit and flower and the Bug Hut plant booster 3 to 4 times before the vines took over this plot and we couldn't get out there anymore. Now you can't tell by looking at that watermelon plot now, but we didn't plant that entire plot at one time. Something I started doing a few years ago was staggering my plantings, which helps me kind of extend my watermelon harvest window. So we always transplant our watermelons, and I had enough transplants to plant that entire plot at one time. But that's not what I like to do. So I just planted half the plot in the beginning, and then I left those transplants in the tray. Yeah, they get a little bit root bound, but not too bad in just a couple weeks. And then a couple weeks after the first planting, we plant the second half of the plot. So if you've got the patience and space to do that, I would highly recommend giving that a try. That way you've got fresh watermelons for a longer period of time throughout the summer. So since this half of the plot was planted first, I know this is where I need to be looking for some ripe watermelons. Yes, there are some fruits that have formed over here on this half that was planted a few weeks later, but I know those aren't going to be ripe before these over here are. So we've got 3 different varieties planted back there. We've got the Cracker Jack, which is a red seedless. We've got the Orange Crisp, which is an orange seedless. And then we've got the Sangria, which is our pollinator. That's a red seeded variety. Now this year, I made a point to grow 3 varieties that look completely different from one another. We had some issues last year. All 3 of the varieties we planted looked really similar, and I didn't know what I was cutting into until I opened it up. If you remember some of those videos, I'd be like, okay, this is a red seedless right here, and we cut it up and it'd be yellow. So I can tell them apart this year because they all look pretty distinct from one another. So those light colored round ones like you see right there, that's the orange seedless. And then the dark round ones like we've got right there, that's the red seedless, the Cracker Jack. And then the larger oblong watermelons, that's our pollinator, the Sangria red seeded. Now in a minute I'm going to show you how we know when these things are ripe, but I will tell you we've already cut a couple of these. We cut one of the orange ones and we cut one of the Sangrias. So my little buddy Titus, who loves watermelons, he comes out here every single day checking these watermelons, and he knows how to tell when they're ripe. So he comes out here every day and then he'll run and tell me, Daddy, we got one we need to pick. And I was like, I don't think it's quite there. No, it's ready, it's ready. And so at some point I just kind of threw my hands up in the air and said, okay, let's pick it, let's open it up so I can show you. Those, they were okay, but they weren't really ripe. We ate them anyways. They were still somewhat sweet, but not near as sweet as they would have gotten. And I think you'll find that a majority of the time, those first couple watermelons you pick won't be necessarily perfectly ripe. And that has a lot to do with the fact you're watching them so hard. You're looking at them every day. You're checking them. And you pick them right when they start to show the signs that they're ripe, when in actuality, they're probably a little bit better a few days or maybe even a week after those signs start appearing. So once your watermelons get really close, if you can somehow have the self-control to kind of ignore them for another week, don't go out there and look at them every day. Let them go another few days or even a week past that sign of ripeness that we're looking for. I think you'll find you'll get a lot higher quality fruits. So when I'm checking watermelons, I ain't studying no thumping, I ain't studying the size, I ain't studying no belly color. All I'm looking at is that tendril right there. A lot of times it will be curled up. That one's straight. I want to make sure that thing has dried all the way back. So if you look where your fruit is, look where it connects to the main vine, you'll see that tendril there. You want that thing all the way dried up, nice and crispy. So if we contrast that tendril with the tendril on this Cracker Jack right here, look down in there, there it is right there. You can see that one hasn't even started to dry up yet. So this one's still got a ways to go. Now, as I mentioned earlier, if you go out there every day checking that tendril, and one day there's still just a little bit of green on it, the next day it's dried up completely, probably still want to wait a few more days. The tendril is a great sign, but it ain't gonna hurt to leave that watermelon on the vine a few more days. After the tendril dries, it will get a little bit sweeter. So I know I've got that one orange seedless that's ready. Pretty sure I got a Cracker Jack out there that's ready, and I'll try to find a sangria that's ready as well. I'll try to pick one of each, then we'll go back over there to the buggy and get down to business. Well, I found two. Found an orange seedless, found a Cracker Jack, didn't find a sangria I was comfortable cutting yet. Probably another week or so on those, but let's cut into these here. So let's get after this one right here first. Now, another way you can tell when they're ripe, although it's too late at that point, is how they pop open when you cut them. So you should be able to take a relatively small knife like this right here, cut around the edges, and if it's really ripe, it should just pop right open for you. We'll see if that happens here with this one or not. This one's got to be more ripe than that one we picked the other day, but it might not be perfectly there. That's pretty dang close right there. That looks pretty dang good. Mercy. So this orange seedless will get a little more sweeter. The color will get a little more orange as it ripens even more. I know that because I've grown this variety before. But that right there is not bad. It's not peak ripeness, but it's not bad. These actually get a little bit better if you pick them, let them sit under the carport for a few days, then they get really, really good. But there ain't nothing wrong with that right there. I gotta be careful or I'll mess around and eat both of these watermelons here. I gotta save some from Titus. He'll be home in a couple hours and he'll for sure want some too. All right, now let's check our Cracker Jack here. Ooh, that one there. See how that one's popping open like I talked about earlier? It's gonna be a good one right here, y'all. Come on, baby. There we go. Ah, it popped open, but still could ripen a little more around the edges. The heart of it there looks pretty dang good though. Now I could have staged all this and found me two perfectly ripe watermelons and had them already cut open for this video, but I wanted to cut these open on camera just to show you how things can vary a little bit. Yes, the tendril is a great sign to tell when they're ripe, but like I said, it's better once that tendril dries, leave them out there for a few days and then pick them, put them in the shade for a few days, and they'll be even better. We did some bricks test on these Cracker Jacks last year, and they were off the charts sweet. They were obviously riper than this one here is. Not going to do the bricks test today. Once we start picking a lot more watermelons, I've got more time to let some sit, we'll do the bricks test and try that out. But I'm not mad. Oh, dropped a piece. I'm not mad about this right here. At least we've got some watermelon on the 4th of July. May not be as sweet as it's gonna get, but better than no watermelon. So I hope you enjoyed the video today. I'm gonna go ahead and finish my half of both of these watermelons, and I'll take the other halves, wrap those in saran wrap, put them in the fridge. They'll be nice and cold when Titus gets home. And if you missed that video where we talked about 8 or 9 really good growing tips for watermelons that we've followed in this plot behind me, watch this video right here. We'll break down all those tips and show you how you can grow your own delicious watermelons in your backyard garden. So check that out, and we'll see you next time right here at Lazy Dog Farm.